Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch.
Bullshit.
Was there any part of you that didn't even want to show up to this? Like, this is his single life journey.
No, it is not Syngin single life journey. This is the journey of our separation. Everyone's seen us from engaged to married to living together, and now it's our separation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she's angry about. Maybe we'll find out, but I would agree. The first half, or at least a good portion of the first part of the season, it was about them breaking up. And certainly, well, see, how much did we see of Syngin's single life? We saw him go on one date, right? So yeah, this season has been them breaking up. And as I said in those reaction videos, it was a really good breakup. You know, there were crying on both sides. There were appreciation, you know, being given both sides, saying they'll miss each other, people having normal feelings, not doing the kind of things like Angela would do or Larissa would do, or who else? Colt, I suppose. Anyway, they're breaking up and they're not getting angry at each other, and there's a lot of opportunities for hostility and being tough, and you know, and they didn't do that. So I thought that that was healthy behavior being modeled, and you know, I just feel for the two of them. They fell in love, and it didn't work out. I think particularly for Tania, she took it harder, I think, than Syngin did. So at least on camera and at this moment.
Yes, it's Syngin's single fucking life, but it's my whole thing as well. And it's just bullshit.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what she's angry about. Maybe she'll let us in on that. I'm trying to figure out what it would be. She shows up and she's angry, and this is BS. It's about this. It's about our breakup. Maybe she feels like she's being excluded. She should have been with him on stage, or she's stressed out because she has to face her ex on international television.
You married that, you know, it does bring me happiness. You know, I like a fresh start. I like adventure.
Is there anything that you miss about married life?
Yeah, splitting the rent. Because now I'm like, oh shit, I got to pay everything myself, you know. And as we know, Tania used to handle all the paperwork and stuff.
Okay, so I don't know if he knows that Tania is listening, but you would hope, at least for the sake of Tania's feelings, that he would say something like, yeah, I mean, I miss Tania. I miss the good times. It didn't work out with her, and I'm glad that we're both moving on. But, you know, I do miss her, and I do miss the times that we had, and miss when we were young and in love and had all the positivity in the world. But instead, he says, I miss her paying the bills, which really gives more credence to the over-functioning, under-functioning hypothesis that I had about the two of them, which, you know, you can listen to those episodes to learn more about that.
If either one of you has regretted the decision to break off this relationship.
Syngin doesn't regret anything.
All right, so that's a passive aggression, and they're both being asked, do you regret? And Tania uses that moment to have a subtle, hostile attack to Syngin. You know, it's not a terrible attack, but she's expressing hostility. She's accusing him of, you know, not ever caring or not ever being, you know, I don't know exactly. Based on what Tania said in the past, I'm guessing behind that statement is he's irresponsible. He is someone who doesn't care about other people, that isn't considerate of other people's feelings, is too flaky, too random behaviored. Instead of saying something like, well, you know, it's been hard breaking up with him. There are times when I wish I had him back, but it's probably for the best, and I'm moving forward, but I'm still sad, and I'm angry, actually, at some of the things that he did, some of the differences in our personality. You could say something like that, but typical to the show, and I think to Tania when she's stressed out. When Tania is differentiating, she has a baseline differentiation where she can actually exhibit a lot of ownership of feelings and healthy behavior. So I'm guessing she's just really stressed out right now.
I could say, there's a lot of thought after separation, Did we try hard enough? Was there something different we could have done? So many aspects of when we separated and you kind of think about all those things and you look back at time, like I feel like we were starting to become mean to each other, starting to say awful things just to piss each other off.
Right, so we're hearing more of the sort of answer that I would expect the two of them to say if they were being honest and relaxed. He's saying, yeah, I mean, there's all those thoughts you have. I think about the good times and the bad times, and I wonder. And so he's giving more of that style of response. So let's see if she can, hearing that, maybe that will help her a little bit.
So you sell foot pics?
Not yet.
Oh, you don't?
Not
You're
yet.
trying to?
I'm trying to.
You're not sure if you're going to do it or
I
not.
really want to because it's such a good money opportunity
How much
right
can
now.
you make from a picture?
I mean, look at Stephanie. She bought a really nice house.
Stephanie?
So last year, I became a millionaire.
Interesting. So for Stephanie, she already was a online person prior to coming on 90 Day Fiancé and leveraged that, I'm guessing, when she was on the show and became even more able to capitalize on that revenue stream, if you will. And a lot of people do contemplate this. I didn't know this was really a thing. And it sounds like feet pics are kind of the gateway drug, if you will. Maybe people stop at just feet, but when we saw that episode with Charlie's wife of Andre and Elizabeth, she was saying it's just feet, and then people were like, it's not just feet, you do other things too. And I don't know if that's true or not, but and there's nothing wrong with that, right? And if it is good money, it's hard to pass up, right? And people will say, lots of people, I think Rebecca of Zied, she does it as well. I don't want to spread rumors. So anyway, it just, often there can be judgment about such things, but there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, there's nothing morally wrong with it. There's nothing ethically wrong with it. But we're hearing the conundrum that it is for maybe a lot of the people on the show, maybe particularly the women, that for Tania, it's like, well, I don't know if I'm super into it, but it's really hard to pass up the money. The other thing that I'll say that about Tania is that, and people, I think, alerted me to this because I hadn't really thought about it, because they often don't really give the specifics of the jobs that these individuals have, which would be an interesting detail that we could hear. But Tania often would complain about Syngin being irresponsible, particularly around money and career. And we just heard, I don't know if I showed the clip, Tania's career is bartending sometimes and doing odd jobs, and now potentially selling feet pictures on the internet. Now, I'm not disparaging her at all. Maybe that's fine, and she does fine on her own in that way. So there's nothing wrong with that. But for someone to have a career, it's not like she's a physician or something, or a lawyer, or, didn't she have a degree in it was herbal science. Anyway, point is that her criticism of Syngin was interesting given that context, right? And along those lines, the reason why people tend to attack their partner in that way and put them down isn't because of reality, it's because of internal relationship wounds that compel that, which I talked about with the two of them.
Because that's always what we did, even though we loved each other so much. And then I got, 3 protection stones. Find happiness, and I'll always love you.
Yeah, it's a really sweet moment. The show doesn't usually show this sort of thing or have an opportunity to. Think of Mike and Natalie's breakup, or who else did we see break up on the show? I'm sure they're Colt and Larissa. Wow, I mean, think about it. So it's good to see people breaking up in a way that might be a little bit more common than people realize, and is much healthier, because Tania could have been hostile in this moment. Like, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. Go to Arizona and have sex with all your sluts. We could imagine other people on the show absolutely going down that road, but she didn't. And she probably had an inkling of that. There was an urge, but she fought it. She's, no, that's not healthy. That's not fair. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be real. I'm going to own my feelings. I'm going to cry, and I'm going to sit here in my pain and just be vulnerable and real. And this is a real moment. Reality TV doesn't always have reality, and this is reality.
Watch as the ocean turns to still.
Okay, I love you.
Love you too.
Goodbye, love. Goodbye, sin. I don't need that voice within.
Bye, baby, I love you.
Yeah, it brings a tear to my eye as well. It's making everyone cry on the show. Hold on. So it's a lot of emotion. Everyone's feeling it. Ed, I didn't see all the people they were showing, but yeah, it's not often that this show feels, I don't know, that it provokes this kind of feeling, and so it's good on TLC for creating a moment like this and capturing it. And the two of them seem like they don't regret, I think, being on the show and having that moment. So, it'd be interesting to think, like, imagine if 20 years from now the two of them can watch the show and remember what happened and, have this. I mean, just imagine the moments in your life that weren't documented like this and didn't have the music backing it up.
I'm even crying right now. Like, everybody up here is crying. Oh, my gosh.
That's sad.
Oh.
That's rough.
Yeah, and it breaks my heart because if they had a therapist, it wouldn't have been that hard to work on. The things that were getting in the way were not hard. Now, there could have been some fundamental deal breakers, like the fact that he didn't want to have kids, possibly, and she did want to have kids. The fact there was something else in there too, I can't remember, but that was the main one. And so they might have not worked out in the end along those lines. But in terms of the things that they were fighting about that were eroding their love and affection for each other, they were right down the middle, standard mainstream couple therapy topics that I've helped people turn around pretty successfully, pretty easily, honestly. And given the fact that the two of them seemingly can be vulnerable and are in touch with their feelings, I assume that they have a pretty good foundation upon which they could tolerate a lot of things in therapy, and probably it wouldn't have taken that long. So it's, as with a lot of couples on the show, it's heartbreaking, but maybe particularly with this couple because of, I don't know, just how much sadness they feel even after, and they're allowing themselves to feel, and they're allowing themselves to exhibit post-breakup.
The hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. You drive out of that driveway, It was tough. Because I know I was leaving a beautiful, strong-minded woman, and I did love her still. I love her today, and that was extremely tough.
Yeah, there's just so many moments, just imagine Angela saying something like this, or Lisa saying something like this, or Larissa saying something like this, or Jesse saying something like this. We just can't imagine it, right? And it's interesting, actually, to contrast people, or even Darcy saying something like this. The realness, the vulnerability, the ability to take ownership of one's feelings, the not giving into the temptation to turtle and to attack. Now, of course, those individuals who have a hard time with that, it's not because they wake up in the morning and just say, I'm going to not be vulnerable. It's because they were made to be extremely afraid of vulnerability due to the way they were raised. I'm quite sure of that.
Just still doesn't feel real sometimes. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like...
Give me a hug.
I can't get up. I don't want to get up in these shoes. They hurt my feet.
Yeah, and good on Syngin for hugging her. And she, like I said, I think she's taking it harder than he did. Obviously, it's hard for the both of them, but I think if he had stayed, they would have given it another try. And I think they had tried a number of times. We learned that they were married for 2 years, maybe together for 3 years or something, 2.5 years. But I wonder, though, how this is for her, because she's saying it's surreal watching this. It's like it never happened, and you just wonder where she's at in the grief process, and if being on the show might be a lot all at once. And maybe that's why earlier she was saying, this is BS, because of all that, I don't know, just that worry. Maybe, again, I'm still a little lost as to why she was so angry at the beginning. Maybe we'll find out.
You know, I would like to see it work between you two. And you guys are handling it really maturely, and that's also something I admire.
Like, that's what we are still friends. Like, you know, I did let him know, hey, you know what? Like, you're family, and you'll always be family.
It's sad, but it's also like beautiful to see that you guys can still stay friends.
Yeah, and good on Stephanie for being able to say that. Again, this show, sometimes we have people in the audience who will attack or won't say these kinds of things, won't build people up. And sometimes, you know, I suppose for all of us, I don't know about you, but occasionally, it's not very often, I'll think about, like, what would I do if I was in that situation? And I often would have a fantasy that I would do essentially what Stephanie is doing right now, where I wouldn't be like fake nice, but I would just see strengths. I would see nice things, and I would want to build people up, but I never see it on the show. And so I think, well, maybe I'm just deluding myself. And but now that Stephanie's doing it, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, that at least someone's doing that, what I think I would do. Not the fart part, of course, but nothing wrong with that, of course, because I just don't think there's a market for that.
They break up. I don't believe, honestly, because the way I look at them, I feel like they're gonna be together.
That's because there is love. There's love.
There is love, and
there's
it's obvious.
love. It's just, it's not compatible. It's not, and that's what I would say.
Sorry.
If relationships were only built on love, like, we would be together.
Right. So maybe that's the deal breaker, that they're, well, you know, I'm curious if she'll say what she means by not compatible. The children thing is, yeah, it's just one of those things that you just can't really work around. It's for most people. She wants kids, and he kind of might want kids in the future, I think. So, and doesn't mind never having kids, I think, is the thing. So if that's it, then yeah. But I think what she is referring to is, he's a dreamer and I'm an organized person. He's a loser when it comes to careers, and I'm a forward-thinking, career-minded person. When I would not think that was actually accurate. And it's not like those are usually deal breakers for people, and it could be for the two of them. But the two of them, you know, if you didn't know their complaints about, if you didn't know her complaints about him, you would, and I guess he would complain about her complaining about him. But anyway, you would think they were both very similar. She goes to South Africa and hits on him, I think while drinking. He drinks a lot, and they, you know, have a fling, and then they kept communicating. She brings him out to the States. They get, you know, engaged pretty impulsively. She leaves for a while during the 90 days for a month to go to, I think, Costa Rica to learn herbal science or something. And we see a scene of her going out with her friends that all seem like free thinkers and free spirits, and they're getting completely hammered. On a scale of Jovies, I would put that, you know, that scene with her drinking, I would give her a full, you know, Jovi, in that Jovi outside of the engagement party. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, adults can drink and it's fine. So she was, you know, and the fact that she is a bartender and now she's going to sell feet pictures and she does odd jobs, and his lifestyle and the way they present, I would say they're both free spirits. They are both extremely what do I say? You know, they're the opposite of being a corporate goon. They're the opposite of someone that works in an office from 9 to 5 and has a what do you call it? A retirement account. What do you call that thing that I've never had? 401k. That's it. I've never had a 401k. I haven't been a corporate goon myself. I was in the very beginning, before I was there. Anyway, so, but Tania sees not that. She sees I am a corporate goon, one who, not a corporate goon, but someone who was extremely stable and moving forward in life and career oriented. And he is this complete loser. Loser when she's angry and when she's being nice, just like cutely irresponsible. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.